Everybody is joining us now, former House Oversight Chairman and host of Sunday Night in America. He's also author of his first novel, a crime thriller called The Color of Death, out next month. Trey, good to have you here and good to see you.
Too. Thank you.
All right, so do you expect that this committee will get to the bottom of anything here with so many pleading the fifth?
Yeah, you know, Senator, you can make them come, but you can't make them talk. So I think it's important to separate out the different privileges. There is doctor-patient privilege, so our doctors can invoke that so they don't discuss our health issues. There's spousal privileges. Actually, there are two of them. The reason I have a smirk on my face is they're invoking the Fifth Amendment. So that's a right to not incriminate myself. What possible crime could be at stake here? I mean, how are you asserting the Fifth Amendment when we're asking you, did Joe Biden really pardon these people? So, I mean, that's what I want to know. So two separate issues. Yes, the House can bring them. They're going to assert privilege. I'll be in a nursing home. You won't by the time that's litigated. So that's years in the future. But the House is right to pursue this because we spent 4 years trying to figure out whether Donald Trump colluded with Russia. How about spend 4 months to figure out whether Joe Biden colluded with himself, whether or not he knew what was happening at the White House? It's a legitimate exercise of oversight.
I think it's reasonable to say there's a handful of Republicans or more saying amen to that. Caroline Leavitt took this on in the latest White House press briefing. She was asked about the Autopin investigation and said this, Trey, listen.
It's incredibly important that we get to the bottom of who really was at the tip of the spear in the decision-making process here in the White House, because former President Biden himself admitted to the New York Times, he said that he did not actually review every single pardon that he signed on his way out the door. The American people want to receive answers on who was running the show, because the decisions that were made in this place really destroyed our country, and we deserve to get to the bottom of it.
I wonder what other tools they have at their disposal here if they're going to continue to have these close aides. And while Tomasini was rather low profile, she was a former, a rather high, I should say, a rather important piece of this administration and would have a lot of knowledge. So what else can the committee do here?
Hold them in contempt of Congress, because the invocation of the Fifth Amendment, if you didn't commit a crime, why are you invoking the Fifth Amendment? What crime is at issue here? Hold them in contempt. Then you could pursue either civil or criminal contempt proceedings. The challenge, Sandra, is that takes so long to litigate it. You can have the historical stain of being held in contempt of Congress, but I don't think that bothers anybody anymore. If you want the information, it's going to take a long time unless people like you in journalism, the left-wing media, if they showed as much interest, there are plenty of people willing to leak. They did it all the time in the Russia probe. Where are the leaks about who was making pardon decisions? I mean, the president has plenary pardon powers. We did not elect Joe Biden to decide who to pardon. We didn't elect his chief of staff, Jeffrey Zients, to decide that. Who was making the decisions? That is legitimate and really ought to be bipartisan.
Yeah, this is Comer's statement on Tomasini pleading the Fifth, that rather powerful aide inside the Biden White House. It's unbelievable that Ms. Tomasini and others refused to answer basic questions about President Biden's fitness to serve. It's apparent they would rather hide key information to protect themselves and Joe Biden than be truthful with the American people about the historic scandal. You know, this committee, the Republicans, at least on the committee, Trey, are not ruling out possibly compelling Joe Biden himself and the First Lady, Jill Biden herself, to appear before this committee. Do you think that's going to happen? Would you recommend they go that route?
Well, I mean, Chairman Comer has done a wonderful job. I would remind everybody, Rob Hur said that he wasn't able to prosecute Joe Biden in part because Joe Biden wasn't competent. So I would like somebody to explain to me, if you're not competent to face criminal charges, how are you competent to make pardon decisions? I mean, look back at Rob Hur's report. This guy doesn't remember enough to even stand trial if you could prosecute him. So how did he go? Did he really go through each one of these pardons and say, okay, these facts meet my criteria, but these do not? It is legitimate, but Joe Biden, I mean, good luck finding somebody to declare him competent. Good luck.
Trey, nobody says it like you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes,
and good to
ma'am.
see you. All right.
You too.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.